Here we go. We are live. Holy smokes, we are having a pot boiler in the back room here prior to going live. Welcome aboard, James Farley. You're number one here. Good start to a new week, Monday. Of course, the news all breaking all over is these strikes on Iran by President Trump's administration. And so today's title is MAGA Divided question mark. So we're going to go break down all that. What is MAGA? Make America Great Again. We know that. But who is MAGA? Who speaks for MAGA? And, I'm all in on Trumpy Bear, okay? There's no mistake about it. I love Donald John Trump. I think he's making the right moves. I think he's operating judiciously. I think he's operating with discernment. I think everything so far up to this point has been extremely measured. It's not like he didn't give the Iranians time. He had, and this was pointed out by Pete Hegseth, and I believe also by Secretary of State Rubio. He goes, look, you got your 60 days. On the 61st day, the gloves were off. The funny thing is like we're hearing from Ocasio-Cortez, Alexandria. She's saying, we got to impeach him because it's unconstitutional. And of course, Obama dropped so many thousands of bombs, tonnage, without Congress approval or anything, just as he was head out in the last year of his term. Credible sources have cited that left, right, and center. So, Blake, let's just start with the most simple, basic, the attack on Iran. Do you support what the president did, or do you think it was a misstep and he's going the wrong direction?
Well, I'm against more wars. I mean, that's just, I think everybody is. Is it the right direction? Iran's been operating as a hostile state for 40 plus years now. So we've been trying to get them to play ball with the rest of the world and be nice. And they've been sending arms and supporting anti-Israel attacks on a regular basis. They've got terror cells that they've sponsored around the world. I'm not a fan. I don't mind if you've got to show a sign of force to get these guys into shape. I don't think anybody wants to see boots on the ground. I don't think that, but I don't think that's Trump's intent. I think he's trying to get them to the table. He's given them a shot in the face because they don't believe him, right? They don't believe, just like Biden was a wussy, or you got Obama bringing pallets of cash. I think this is a corrupt regime that essentially loves to get money and get support by rattling sabers. And that's how they do it, much like Rocket Man did in North Korea. Now he's starting to rattle his sabers again, if you notice. And every time he does that, he's standing there with his hat out, expecting cash and support and concessions. And that's what it all comes down to. So was it necessary? Perhaps. That's all I can say at this point. I think somebody needed to take a shot at them to get them to the table. I think, people predicted. He gave them 60 days. They didn't come through, and boom, Israel hit them on the 60th day. That was it. You didn't come through. I'm unleashing the dogs. There you go. I'm not going to protect you anymore. You're on your own. But then if you start hitting our allies, I'm going to hit you back.
Yeah. Blake, back in Boy World, a lifetime ago, there was this guy, Derek Scott Thompson. Derek, if you're out there, and this guy was just an idiot, okay? It was just fucking moron. This is before I was a Christian or anything. But we're out at some sort of event, and this guy kept yapping up all the time. And I'd say, I'm like a teenager. I go, shut the fuck up. I'm going to fight. He go, what are you going to? And I just go, bang, hit him I just fucking turned around and I just fucking cocked him. I said, shut the fuck up. And then he goes, and then he start talking that back. He could start going, he wait a bit, and then he goes, what are you going to? Bang. And then eventually he got he knew enough not to mouth up anymore. It's just stupidity on his part.
Yeah.
And, and I'm a teenager, obviously I wouldn't, hit anybody today. It wouldn't matter what the situation. It's not going to happen. But back then we're teenagers, right? He was just an idiot. And, so you had to kind of put him. There was another guy, Graham Williams, no relation to me. Graham, if you're out there. Every 6 months, I had to put this kid down. Like he'd
Yep.
start getting uppity, and I'm the shotgun. Now keep in mind the guy was like a couple of years younger than myself too. He's right. I'm shotgun. I get the front. I said, get the fuck out. Grab him, throw him out in the back. Get in the fucking back. You're the kid. Get in the back.
Yeah.
Backing order. Teenage, socialization. And I remember he jumped Rick Eaton, Sue here. Famously jumps my buddy Rick from behind. I go, what the fuck? So I go in, grab the little fucker, and bring him on. I may never heard him, but you just basically had to physically dominate the kid so he'd settle down. But he had such a massive ego. I think every 6 months he'd figure, I got to take you now. It never happened, of course. So this is Trump doing the thing. Listen, Iran, you got your 60 days. Do you know that somebody put out a post from Trump that he put out in 2011 saying Iran must never be allowed to have a nuclear weapon? And this has been a constant. His yay is yay, his nay is nay. He doesn't waver. He doesn't quibble. It's just, this is the way it's got to be. The tagline they're using is peace through strength. Did Trump get to do it? I don't know. Even I can't say for sure. I don't know what Iran's going to do, but they were on their way to making a nuclear weapon. There's no doubt about that. Marco Rubio was on saying that they are, and I forget the word, but they're enriching 60 tons or something. There's a threshold. And they were producing something 60 units of enriched uranium. And he says, you don't need that for civil projects. You don't need 60, whatever the unit they use to measure.
Yeah, like for X-rays and for nuclear power.
Yeah, hospitals and this sort of thing.
Yeah.
If you're going to make a bomb, you need to enrich a lot more uranium. And there's a threshold. They were way over that threshold. Marco Rubio was on, I don't know, Fox, or he was on one of these, maybe it was even CNN. And he was explaining, listen, it was CNN. There's a TED. Can you go Rubio CNN where he explains this? Just do a search on X for that. There'll be a clip of it.
Yeah.
But so, no, I don't have the intel. I'm not the one where the people with the knowledge are saying, you know what they're up to. You know what they're doing, don't you? And then because they are state-sponsored terrorists, like they've got, I just laughed at Yemen. Yemen goes, okay, we're going at it now. I said,
I know.
Do you seriously
That
want to
guy?
walk around and find out, you absolute moron?
I know. I thought that was I thought Baghdad Bob had retired.
Yeah, I mean it of course it resonates on the same order.
Is it him on CNN?
It's Rubio on CNN. Marco Rubio talks CNN, talks Iran. Go Rubio, Iran, CNN. And that should probably pop it up for you.
Well, I mean, there was some difficulty with, some of the people, a lot of people got their hackles up over Donald Trump's comment where he says it's not politically correct to use the term regime change. But if the current Iranian regime is unable to make Iran great again, why wouldn't there be a regime change? And then he put MAGA, MIGA.
Yeah,
make Iran great again. And people are like, oh, see, he wants regime change. He's going to cause a military regime change. I don't think that was what he was stating. I think that what the intent is, what he was saying is that you would think the people of Iran would want to do a regime change, get rid of these bums and get their country back, because there's a big divide there. So my response to that was, in my opinion, Trump's MO is to keep opponents in the USA guessing, because his opponents in the U.S. are always trying to nail him down because he doesn't like to be pinned down. Yeah. And he sometimes bluffs, sometimes he doesn't. Adversaries exploit internal MAGA dissent against endless foreign wars. He must avoid seeming like a Neville Chamberlain and act like a rope-a-dope boxer like Ali. He can't be seen as the guy that's weak. And that's the thing. He's not going to show weakness. That's not his MO.
We're just trying to track this down. I'm pretty sure it was CNN where I saw it. Could have been MSNBC. One of them. It wasn't Maria Bartomola that he was talking to. Let's go Rubio CNN and Iran, and where he did an interview, and he laid it out very clearly what was happening. And okay, here it is. This is from Face the Nation. CBS is the winner. I've got it here, Sue, so I'll share it. Have you got it? Yeah. Oh, okay. CBS, Face the Nation. Rubio says Iran possibly mining Strait of Hormuz would be a suicidal move on their part. He says the whole world would come after Iran.
Yeah, the entire world just about survives off oil from that strait.
Okay, I think this is the interview where he explains the doctrine and kind of the intel that they had. Cheryl, welcome aboard. Welcome, everybody. Thumbs up on the program if you can. We're new. We're starting out. We're getting things going. Want to get people subscribed and following and doing all that due diligence. But, okay, let's try this thing. Let's see what goes on here.
Follow up on a phrase you just word, weaponization ambitions. Are you saying there that the United States did not see intelligence that the Supreme Leader had ordered weaponization?
That's irrelevant. I think that question being asked in the media, that's an irrelevant question.
No,
they have
that is the
everything they
key
need to build
point
a
in
weapon.
U.S. intelligence assessments. You know that.
No, it's not.
Yes, it was.
No, it's
that
not.
The political decision had not been made.
I know that better than you know that, and I know that that's not the case.
But I'm asking you whether the order was given.
And the people who say that, it doesn't matter if the order was given. They have everything they need to build nuclear weapons. Why would you bury things in a mountain, 300 feet under the ground?
Right.
Why would you bury why do they have 60% enriched uranium? You don't need 60% enriched uranium. The only countries in the world that have uranium at 60% are countries that have nuclear weapons. Because it can quickly make it 90. They have all the elements. They have. Why do they have a space program? Is Iran going to go to the moon? No, they're trying to build an ICBM.
No, but
so
that's a question. That's a question. That's a question of intent. And you know, in the intelligence assessment, that it was that Iran wanted to be a threshold state and use this leverage. I'm talking about the public March assessment, and that's why I was asking you if you know something more from March.
But that's also an inaccurate representation of it. That's an accurate representation of it. That's not how intelligence is read. That's not how intelligence is used. Here's what the whole world knows. Now, forget about intelligence. What the IAEA knows. They are enriching uranium well beyond anything you need for a civil nuclear program. So why would you enrich uranium at 60%?
Right.
If you don't intend to one day use it to take it to 90 and build a weapon. Right. Why are you developing ICBMs? Why do you have 8,000 short-range missiles and 2,000 to 3,000 long mid-range missiles that you continue to develop? Why do you do all these things? They have everything they need for a nuclear weapon. They have the delivery mechanisms, they have the enrichment capability, they have the highly enriched uranium that is stored.
Yes.
That's all we need to see.
Right. Well,
especially in the hands of a regime that's already involved in terrorism and proxies and all kinds of things around. They are the source of all instability in the Middle East.
No one's disputing that. I'm not doing that here.
Okay. So she got schooled, obviously. But he mentioned that 60% threshold. He said there's no way that they need that much uranium. What are they using it for? They aren't doing it for X-ray machines. All right, this is my brother-in-law. This is Jason. Jason, welcome aboard. We always enjoy Jason tuning in. It's a great honor to have him here. Iran state media is reporting attacks on 2 U.S. bases in Qatar and Iraq. Oh, God, America's just lost the war. They've just been attacked. It's all over. Congratulations, Iran, you're top dog. You are now a superpower, the one superpower in the world right now. America is defeated. The white flag is up. They've surrendered. What does this mean, Blake? Anything? To me, it means
I heard this this morning that they had heard explosions near Qatar, and but there's been no reports that I've seen yet that there was actually anything hit. So you think that there may have been a missile strike or an attempted missile strike of which the missiles were shot down. But there is also, this morning, they were talking about that apparently there's a rumor, of course, rumors are rumors, is that Trump and I think what's their leader in Iran called, he's also a Khomeini. I think they all kind of named themselves after the old Ayatollah of rock and rolla.
Yeah.
The Khomeini, but apparently had made a deal, and some of the stuff the Iranians have done with the U.S. to save face is that they'll say, okay, we're going to shoot some rockets, but we're going to miss. And they'll do that just to save face, and that's kind of like their MO. They'll bluster, they'll scream up a whole bunch to make their supporters think like they're actually doing something, but really quietly they're not going to do anything more. They shut down the strait, then it's going to escalate. I did hear this morning is everybody should not keep their eyes on Iran and watch China. You need to watch China right now, because China, if this starts to escalate, and they do start hitting U.S. bases or U.S. Navy assets in the area, or start hitting Israel harder, or if Turkey somehow gets more involved, which I don't know how I thought Turkey's a member of NATO. So technically an attack on the U.S., Turkey is supposed to support the United States. But in this case, watch China, because China may take the distraction, and if that military effort moves towards the Middle East, it's going to take it off of Taiwan, and Taiwan will be invaded in a matter of days. So that's to watch out, that China might be playing a sideshow here behind the scenes with Iran to keep them going, because they definitely wanted to make a move on Taiwan.
Okay, so what's Taiwan to you? To me, I'm going to tell you, Taiwan is the Ukraine in the Asian theater. That's exactly what Taiwan is. It's dark money. It's black ops. It is a proxy. It's a money laundering proxy, and that's why it's kind of allowed. It's been allowed to survive for so long. Go ahead.
Well, I think Taiwan's the issue with Taiwan, of course, it's where the vast majority of the reliance on chip manufacturing has been in the high tech sector, and they also produce a lot of goods get sold to compete against China, but. I know Trump has been pushing hard to get Apple and some of the, these big tech companies to move to the U.S. And they're building big facilities in Arizona. There's multi-billions of dollars coming back in development.
That is the very definition of MAGA. That is
exactly
freaking fantastic, Blake. I love what you're saying.
So then that will reduce the risk that Taiwan becomes an issue. The only issue is that the South China Sea then becomes completely dominated by the Chinese, and then it puts our allies at risk, like Australia, right? Japan, South Korea. Those all become, and the Philippines. It's like World War II. It's like Japan, the rise of the Japanese Empire. This time it's China. That's the worry, is that China may make a move, but I don't know. They're apparently China is an overinflated economy. I know a lot of people on the left pound their chest saying China is going to take over the world and are super strong. But everything I hear from economic experts, like I would define as real experts, say China is literally being held together with pins and needles.
That's what I'm hearing as well, Blake. Exactly right. I think that's a critical component in all this. They're making a big bark. They talk a big game, but we aren't really seeing a whole lot. We know they're positioning. We know that they're trying to corrupt and manipulate democracies from within to make them collapse. They've been extremely successful in Canada. Sue, can you put up, nowhere have they been more successful. Can you put up this thing, some kid named Blake McKenzie over on the X platform, put up something, it's called EB meme, so EBY meme. Okay, it's about, what is it, 5 down, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, yeah, so this thing came across my feed, and I just started laughing. Blake McKenzie, whoever the hell that is, 100%. He is a national security threat to both Canada and the USA. Scroll down. Look at this beautiful suit that this kid's sporting here. So, of course, AI.
Gotta love AI. Grok created that image.
Yeah. And this is
you got to see what I'm responding to.
I know. This is a post that you did that's getting a lot of traction out there on.
Yeah, it's gone viral.
Okay, can you not this one? Can you go back to the thing? It's the one above where Blake?
You just had to scroll up above it. Yeah,
you go scroll above it. Oh, sorry. And then you'll get. Well, I want to.
Well, it's a really good interview, because the video interview of EB. I mean, the guy is a fraud. We know. Yes. You don't listen to what he says. Watch what he does. That's the thing. The guy he's been named multiple times as a security threat. Yeah, if you want to play it, go ahead.
Okay, biggest threat to Canadian sovereignty isn't China, it isn't Russia, it isn't the U.S., it's David Eby himself. Let's listen to him. And we won't play the whole thing, it's 5 minutes long, but we'll play a bit to get a sense of it. Okay.
I mean, look at that face.
Have
you ever met a happy Marxist?
Through her province carrying oil to the northwest part of yours, that you had at the time signaled like your view on that had not changed. She said she intends to convince you otherwise. Can she convince you?
Well, I think, sometimes I feel like the media is gathering around and chanting fight, fight, fight between us and Alberta right now. There's no fight here. The concern that I have is a matter of
which is a blatant lie.
We have a taxpayer-funded pipeline, the TMX pipeline. It's owned by Canadians. It's not operating at capacity. There's 200,000 additional barrels of capacity in that pipeline. Let's start there. I don't support tens of billions of dollars in federal subsidy for a brand new pipeline across the north, getting rid of the tanker ban off the north coast. When we have major projects in BC and in Alberta with private companies that are advancing them, that are ready to work, ready to dig, ready to employ people, ready to diversify our trade relationships. Why would we prioritize a massive public spend like that when more limited public spend could deliver additional capacity through the pipeline we already own?
Okay, can we kill him there? He just makes me listen to what he says. He's just full of crap.
Okay, so he hasn't named any specifics. He's just saying we got other people digging what and where, and who's going to allow that to go on? What do you mean other partners are doing the digging in a limited fashion? We're trying to get the economy going. Well, that would be ideal if they could. But clearly that's not what this guy's interested in. Of course, he's the guy that's shouting to the rooftops, clean energy, net zero, all that goes with anything that this guy's trying to go. At the bottom line on this character is simply that we don't want to drill. The exact opposite of Donald John Trump said, drill, drill, baby, drill, baby, drill.
Well, he's been blatantly being obstructionist to allow Canada being able to build up its economic strength to the Pacific coast. And here he is. He's saying, well, I'm not in a fight with Alberta, but we don't need these pipelines. Well, the problem is, EB, is that your deals with your silent partner, Xi Jinping, you are the problem. You are the problem because you're making deals with China. You've sold off billions of dollars of making Chinese steel into our infrastructure. You've got our ferries, our largest ferry fleet. Our fleet is actually probably bigger than Canada's Pacific Naval Fleet.
At this point, yeah.
Is being built in China, and not just built in China, but built by a Communist Party's ownership into that shipyard that they've invested billions. What could have been produced here, produced with Canadian steel. All that elbows up stuff goes right into the pit. Yeah, there he is. He's attacking Trump. He's attacking the Americans. Don't buy America. Don't do this. But he's buy China, buy China, buy China. He has been exposed as an asset to the foreign influence of China. Sam Cooper has done incredible work digging this up. This continues on. It's time for Mark Carney and Donald J. Trump to expose him and say, we've got a West Coast Castro in our backyard that we need to get rid of. And they need to get rid of this guy. Some guy posted today, and I won't say what he said, but he basically says they should do to EB is what they just did to Iran. I won't go that far.
No, because and of course, never the violence.
You make him a martyr. You don't want a martyr. He's an
idiot.
Ladies
and gentlemen, Canada is another one of the co-opted legacy media, high-profile newspaper in Canada, probably our single highest profile paper in Canada, kind of equitable with the Washington Post and the New York Times. The Globe and Mail, opinion. Just an opinion. Canada, you better prepare for a decade of thrift and lower living standards.
What does that say?
Pardon me?
What does that mean?
My statement, my response to it was simply elbows up, you retards, you absolute retards. So we got a decade of austerity coming. Remember how well that worked in the UK. They hated it. There was a lot of kickback, and it caused absolute destruction to the ruling party. Austerity collapsed the party under God. Who was it? English people, help me out. 4D if you're here. But these kind of measures never go over well. They try and stretch them out, extend them. It's the same thing with Brexit with England. I watch these liberals and critics of it. They go, oh, Brexit was a disaster. It's horrible. Yeah, because it wasn't allowed to do what it could do. It needed to be allowed to have wings and fly and really bring the production back into England, make England great again. But they decapped the fucking thing, and it ended up doing nothing but pissing everybody off. They absolutely, it was like, one of Trump's bills going through, the big, beautiful bill, and they put so much pork in it, it can potentially become ineffective. Fortunately, we're not seeing that happen right now. But a decade of thrift, lower living standards. What is causing lower living standards in Canada, Blake?
Well, where to begin on this one?
Yeah.
That where it begins, 10 years of WEF control under the Trudeau Liberals. That was their captured candidates that they ran, or cabinets that Klaus Schwab called, that he had put in power. Basically, he was taking credit for it, to bring in this new era of a great reset, which is basically you'll own nothing and be happy. The program continues to roll on. Putting Carney in there doesn't change what these guys are. The party changed a leader. It didn't change the party. The party is still the same people. For crying out loud, nothing has changed. But when I see a headline like that, it just says, we have a bureaucratic class here who will not let go of power. They are dug in. They don't care who gets hurt or damaged. They don't give a crap about Canadians at all. It's all about them, their power, their wealth, what they can pocket into it. They are the Venezuelan wrecking crew that they're turning Canada into. That's exactly what we are. We have all this oil wealth, just like Venezuela. We're one of the potentially the richest countries in the world, just like Venezuela had. What do you do when you allow these crazy socialists, corrupt, champagne socialists? And I want to say the difference. There's the socialists, then there's the champagne ones. These are the wealthy elite that don't want any competition. But when I see a headline like that, they're taking us down the path and they're telling you to prepare. We're willing to sacrifice all of you because we want to stay in power at all costs. And that says to me, we're headed into a depression, not a recession, depression. And we need to be prepared for that because as long as we allow these guys to stay in power, they will take us down that path. They're telling us you're no longer going to be able to have combustible engines by 2035. You're going to remove millions of vehicles that people rely on in cold areas of Canada. Canada isn't some warm climate that we can ride around in kabuki cabs.
Yeah, LA.
It's freezing here. Even LA gets cold comparatively, but we get ice, minus 20, minus 30 temperatures. Those kinds of vehicles, electric vehicles, don't last. This is insane. This is Carney. Carney, we got to remember, Carney is the guy that was the advisor to the Trudeau Liberals for all this. So it's his ideas that helped sponsor this. I still hold fast, though. I think Carney, he moved his company, Brookfield, all the way to New York City. That's a sign. And what he's trying to do, I think Trump's going to arm wrestle him into economic union with Canada. That's the salvation that Canadians need to look for. Stop thinking you're going to build a new military alliance with Europe. What's Europe going to do for you? But send your boys, your money to the Ukraine. That's what they want. They don't want us to be wealthy. They don't want us to be successful individually. They just want to keep the power into the hands of a few. Sorry, that was a little bit of a rant, but that's what.
No, it's a good rant. And in fact, my sister, Maureen, we love Maureen. She goes, well said, Blake, 100%. You're correct. You spot on with that. So keep ranting as PRN as needed. Take as needed. PRN. It's a little nursing lingo I picked up along the way. Pat's Radio, what's your take on the Commonwealth connection with regard to systemic destruction of these countries? And then also, what's the tinfoil hat explanation? So there's there's a couple of explanations that you can provide. One more orthodox and one a little crazier, seemingly crazy. You know, conspiracy theories are the only thing about conspiracy theory is give it enough time. Give it enough time. And the conspiracy becomes just, oh, yeah, well, we all know that now. No one said that. And the way they always backtrack on, well, no one said that, it wasn't. What? And they do it with all sorts of things, a lot of it which you can't even talk about on YouTube. But go ahead, Blake. What's your take on the Commonwealth connection with regard to systemic destruction? We're seeing it on Australia, New Zealand, the Five Eyes, they call them.
Yeah. Yeah, outside of India, because India broke free and became a republic. But yeah, the as you said, the Five Eyes, we are a dying population. Follow the money. We have a very powerful group of people, bureaucrats and monopolistic corporations that have lived well under the Commonwealth, have been protected through Crown Corporation, through legislative protections. They have investments in that. They have a safety net that is collapsing.
Yeah,
because they didn't have enough babies, for crying out loud. Well, everybody wanted to go out and have sex and do all their things with the pill and all that kind of stuff, and decided, hey, we took wealth over having children. And so, but our safety net and our economy was not built without growth. And without growth, you go in reverse. You get stagnant. So what's happening to these Western countries within the Commonwealth? The same as we're seeing in Europe. Negative growth in population. It's a demographics issue. When people were screaming, the sky's falling because there's too many people on the planet. Well, we were already seeing a demographic bomb, a 50-year bomb that was blowing up over time. By 2040, that all these countries would be in such negative growth, they wouldn't be able to support their boomers that are retiring. They wouldn't be able to provide you, your insurance for healthcare coverage and all these kinds of things. The system is collapsing. That's what we're watching. So what is their desperate act in this? Well, let's dump millions of unvetted immigrants from around the world, from third world, to pile them in there in a desperate plea to try and populate the country
without the requisite skills of the generic population, or the indigenous, at the risk of using indigenous outside of First Nations referencing.
Exactly. So I think we just have to look at the reality. It is follow the money. It is a money issue, because the money managers will tell you that. That's where the money problems are, is funding these. They're collapsing. If you don't have enough youth growing up to fund the people that are not working anymore, you get down to a 3-to-1, 2-to-1. For every person retired, you need 2 people working, or 3 people. It gets 1-to-1. Now you're in disaster. And then what do those people do? They leave. And that's what America, I'll tell you, a master stroke right now. If he wants to bring Carney to his knees, if Trump said, I'm going to say Canadians who feel like they are being oppressed in Canada, I'm opening up the doors to just you, Canadian citizens. You can have a refugee status claim to the U.S. right now. We'll make you a citizen. Come on down. That would drain Canada overnight. Carney would have no choice but to say, no, we agree. We're going to lose all of our talent overnight, because that's what's happening in Australia, New Zealand, the UK, and that's the problem. You're not growing your own population. Have babies, folks. Go and have 15 babies now, because that's what's going to take each to catch up. You're way behind.
And of course, there's so many issues. God, I mean, Blake, there's so many stories. I got a headline about plastics I want to talk about. I mean, it's a thermometer, kid. We're shoving it up the rectum of our national consciousness, and we're taking a reading each and every day, Monday to Friday, 3:00 on Wednesdays, but 12 noon. We call it the political nooner. Let's turn our attention to the United States for a bit. This story, this guy went out of the news cycle pretty fucking quick. Tim Walz has not posted on X since this information was released. Has H made any public statements to deny, or has he made any public statements to deny the following? Let's play a little bit of Fox here. New
assassin who disguised himself as a cop to shoot down Democrat politicians and their spouses. He killed 2 and seriously injured 2 others. Today, we're finding out he wrote a letter to the FBI claiming he was trained by the U.S. military, quote, off the books, and that Tim Walz asked him to kill Amy Klobuchar so he could take her Senate seat. Belter's facing state and federal murder charges.
Okay, so this story disappeared quicker than Rip Van Winkle. Once that story came out, and it's control of the narrative. You know, every time something goes down, there was a church shooting, I think somewhere in Michigan, where this guy, they caught him, and he's a white guy, and he goes in there, and a security guard took him out before, anybody was murdered, as far as I know, right? I haven't followed all the details. This happened over the weekend, but it's the same thing. It's the control of the narrative. So this guy goes in, what are the odds that they try and paint these guys as MAGA? The information comes out right away. Whenever it's buried, whenever you don't hear the story right away, when they aren't forthcoming with the manifest, they make these manifestos, they don't come out. Now, apparently, there's no manifesto, but we got this letter saying Tim Walz ordered this fucker to go in and kill, of all people, Amy Klobuchar. I mean, is this idiot to be believed? Maybe not. But the point is, there's some smoke there. The guy was clearly trained, or he was given some sort of connection in a training capacity on some sort of. He got a little certificate from Tim Walz, the Minnesota state. It's just absolutely crazy. So. I think this story has disappeared, not only because of the Iran, the big story there, but also because this is an inconvenient truth. This is an inconvenient fact. They don't want to be talking about his connections to Tim Walz. And the FBI is reporting, hey, listen, man, we got a letter from this nincompoop, and he's a nutter, clearly. But what went on with this guy? More, and of course, remember the wife in the car with the passport and all that? What happened to her? So it's one of these things, they surface, they hit the consciousness, the zeitgeist, and then they disappear.
Well, it's like the Las Vegas shooter, right? From a few years ago. It was awful. Another story that still has a lot of questions tied to it. It doesn't make sense. The guy's history doesn't make sense that he would just be an arms dealer hiding in there. A deal goes sideways and then opens up on a crowd of people watching a Jason Aldean concert and killing all those people in a massacre. That there's still, again, that disappeared. I mean, that entire story and what they're researching has vanished off, and yet that is the biggest massacre in the history of the U.S. from a single shooter. I mean, come on, what the hell is going on with these guys?
Well, the Dems say that it's all been answered. It's a lone guy. They got him. He's dead. That's it. End of story.
Nothing to see here, folks. Nothing to move along.
Move along. Yeah. Excuse me. The media is infamous in their gaslighting. And sometimes you just have to slow down, just pause and think just a little bit about what the fuck they're trying to sell us. This thing came across the feed, and I just had to laugh of it. This is, and it's a, quote, credible source. There's our old friend CTV News, a legacy media in Canada. More microplastics exist in glass bottles than in plastic, quote, study. Just let that sink in. More microplastics are in glass than in plastic. There's more plastic. Do the first guy. Scroll it up to this guy, Mark Aaron. There's more plastic in glass than plastic. You sound vaccinated. Oh my God! But I mean, that is the kind of headline that all you need to do is think about it for more than a second. You go, this is absolutely ludicrous. That there's more plastic in glass than there is in plastic. You absolute retards. Absolutely fucking nuts. But it's a typical example of how the media gaslights.
The plastic industry taking a hit.
And if you don't think about it, if you think about it for more than a second, you kind of go, wait a second. I question that study. Okay. Okay, this is really interesting. Let's stick with Canada. We got a lot of Canada today. I do apologize for that for American friends because there is so much. We're going to get right into MAGA. We're going to close the show out with MAGA, but we got about 20 minutes to play around here. Canada Parade has been canceled.
Montreal.
Yeah, Montreal's canceled it. We'll grab the headline for the kids to look at. Indigenous as went Native American, so does Native Britons. I may change my name to nobody before someone grabs it. Somebody already grabbed the legendary William Blake, the philosopher and artist. Okay, what that is patently false. Do they have any idea what temperature it takes to make glass? Holy crap! Of course it's false. And this is what we're saying. It's an absolute gaslighting. It's a clinical demonstration. I want to get Blake's opinion on this. Candace Malcolm, great reporter, Canadian. Montreal has canceled Canada Parade for a second year in a row. So for the second year in a row, there's not going to be any celebration of, quote, Canada. Not that for me, I go very quickly say, I don't give a fuck. They're Quebec. They don't like Canada anyway. And I don't have much like for Canada right now myself, other than the natural resource, all that. But what it is politically and what it represents, I don't give a fuck about it. Blake, go ahead.
Well, they're trying to claim that it's a labor disruption issue. And I'm like, really, 2 years of labor disruption, but you can have a whole month of Pride events, but they don't get canceled either. So, no, I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think they're tied to the Bloc Québécois and their anti-Canadian separatist side of things. But or just anti-colonial. You never know, because a lot of those council members are just lunatics now, progressive lunatics. They hate the country they live in, hate the roots, the foundations, because we're all settlers, we're all colonists, we're colonizers. That's the language they use in a negative tone. It's not about that, hey, you're a colonist. It's like, yeah, so what?
As a founder of the country, of the dominant culture, that created the buildings and the infrastructure and the way of life that we have, these settlers, these colonists were critical to forming the initial identity of these great nations, these once great nations. That's what the president says, make America great again. Meanwhile, no Canada Day parade, but the Canadian government saw fit to create this for you and me, Blake.
Oh, yeah. I
hope you like this. This is Canada. They've got their own, there's the Gracio Canada. They're just simply Canada, the government. In Canada, we know that diversity is our strength, and we love to celebrate it. This being You Day, let it be a reminder to be authentically yourself and celebrate all the things that make you gay. So holy fuck! I mean, talk about pandering to a very small minority. And Blake, when you're talking about reproducing, and if you want to save the country and your nation, start making babies. That group ain't doing it. Okay, there's something kind of it's icky. You mean I got to put it in where? Ooh. And so that ain't helping. Okay. But clearly it's divisive. There's a whole problem with Kennedy politics. You go, we're the, quote, Iranian Canadians. And I saw this meme over on the platform. I just loved it because it's so true. What flag are they going to be waving this week? And they got the Mexican flag up because of all the trouble with the immigrants and ICE and all this, Mexico. So Mexico was up. And then it became the Ukrainian flag. We got the Ukrainian flag. Then it went up with another flag, forget which one, and now it's the Iranian flag. You never see it's never about the American flag. It's always divisiveness. It's always identity politics that do nothing to unite us, but do everything to divide us. It's horrific. Diversity is our strength. Diversity simply means division. Diverse division. The same root is in both words. Fuck off. All right, go ahead.
Right with you on that one. I saw somebody actually came out and showed that in the criminal code you can't change the flag like that. For the Canadian government to basically
defacing it.
They're defacing the Canadian flag. But the point, even greater to the point, is that flag, our flag, the Canadian flag, just like the U.S. flag, is supposed to represent all Canadians. So you already have a position of pride. Your pride is that flag. You live in a country that protects you from being you. So now you want to change it because some Marxist liberal professors thought this was a good idea to continue to divide people. And I'll tell you, it's done purposely. It is intentional. This isn't some happy little thing that they're trying to make everyone go out and parade around on. This is completely to divide people, segment them into smaller groups even further so that you can create allies, and those allies you string together for political power only, so that you can maintain those divisions for political power. That's all it is. That is a flag to divide. It is not uniting. You already have a flag in America. You have a flag in Canada. You have a flag in the UK. Salute it. That is what brings you together, not these Marxist, neo-Marxist flags that you see that are called pride flags. Those aren't pride. And you know what? If you talk to a lot of homosexuals, gay people, they feel they've been usurped too. They're being driven out too, because you've got these subsection groups that, all the alphabet crowd. They're going, well, hold on, I just wanted to be gay. What's all these other people coming in, and now they're attacking me? And then you got feminists saying, well, the same thing. It's just like, well, hold on, I was here to empower women, and these groups are not empowering women anymore. It's absolute massive division. It is a psyop. It is a psyop on the population.
I agree with that. Beautifully said, Blake. This is the big story today. MAGA divided. There's a lot of these personalities out there, and probably none more notorious right now than Candace Owen. She's been very vocal. She's kind of almost Kanye level. She's almost Yee level with her anti-Israel. She's going hard after Israel for whatever, she has her bias. But here's Candace Owens, and this is by Jews Fight Back account, Jews Fight Back. Candace Owens featured on Iranian state TV. Very America first, obviously high sarcasm with that. And here's Candace's, the thing they placed on her. I don't know if we can make that bigger to even read it. No. It doesn't matter. She's voicing opposition to the president, saying that Trump's deranged for attacking Iran. It's almost like a big fucking zit is on the face of a lot of these media types that are out there. And believe me, when it comes to Israel, I'm pro-Israel. I love Israel. I support Israel. But by the same token, I'm no Ben Shapiro. I don't like Ben Shapiro. I'm not a Ben Shapiro fan. I think Shapiro's out there doing a little bit for his own. There are divisions within the thing, but there's no MAGA without Trump. Trump is the nexus. He's at the center. Candace Malcolm getting huge kickback on her statements there. Is Candace Malcolm MAGA in your opinion, Blake?
Well, I think Candace is mistaken on her viewpoint. I don't think she's against MAGA. I don't think that was her point. She's just taken the other side to the extreme. She's saying isolationism to the 100% is the way we need to be. And her point is that we allow, in her words, that they allow Israeli intelligence against Americans, and yet Israel's not being penalized for it. The state of Israel, we're not talking about Jews or anti-Semitism, but the actual organization,
the
political state, and that they're getting special treatment over other countries that get attacked for doing the same thing. But she doesn't she's not hitting the point. Israel's our ally. They're an ally. They are a protective ally. They're a stabilizing, even though some people argue they're a destabilizing force. I think they're a stabilizing force in the Middle East. They're the only true democracy in the Middle East. They're not executing people for what they believe.
Well, they're the only ones that have the gay flags, running around. They're the only one with the pride parades.
I mean, if she wanted
a lot of pride parades under the Iranian regime. quite
I
frankly.
mean, I think the fear is, again, that I think where she's coming from is that she's fearing that Israel's going to drag the U.S. or the Western world into another boots on the ground world war. But the fact remains is that you're going to go that direction anyways. It doesn't matter. I mean, if Saudi Arabia gets attacked, we're going to defend Saudi Arabia. I mean, it's going to happen. And the Saudis are there. They're supporters of the West. They sell us a lot of oil. I think Trump's got a great ally in the prince. So, you know, I don't think her argument is valid, you know, on that side of it.
If it's motivated by fear, then it's got to be rejected. It's got to be rejected because you cannot operate out of fear. Fear makes you do stupid things. It makes you play stupid games and win stupid prizes. So I think you have to operate, as the president said, out of strength, no fear. And you watch Trump conduct himself very calm all throughout this. He's not flinching. There's no fear there.
Yeah.
It's a cold, logical, analytical evaluation of the situation in the Middle East. And he's got some very intelligent people aiding him and helping him to understand exactly what is going on there.
I can understand. I mean, Bibi Netanyahu is not really the nicest guy. He comes across as a very abrasive leader. Yeah. And, you know, but you know what? Similar to Trump, he's had to put his foot down and say enough's enough. I'm done with rockets being lobbed in from the West Bank or from Gaza or from Beirut. You know, we're being hit on all sides. You know, he's standing tough where he needs to be as a leader for a country. And yeah, he's a tough personality, because he is a bit of a neocon. He's willing to go to war. He's kind of been seen as one of the guys with the Bush Cheney crowd. And, you know, but you know what? Target him personally. If you want to go after somebody, go after their politics personally. Like to say, yeah, Netanyahu, I don't agree with the guy. He drives me crazy. But don't paint all of Israel that way, because then you start sounding like a fool.
See, here's the problem with conservatives. They're humans like everybody else, and they're susceptible to corruption and payoffs and bribery and money slapping. What if the Iranians ever decided to give Candace Malcolm some coin? I wonder if somebody like that associated, connected with them. Who was it? Laura Southern in Canada, a journalist. There was some money floating around. They didn't do due diligence. It was that very attractive Eurasian girl. I forget her name. She was with The Daily. I think she might have been associated with that. The
Daily Beast.
Yeah, I forget what her name was, but there was an investigation there. She may not have known where the money came from, but she didn't do due diligence in asking where the hell that money came from. And at that level of influence,
coming from Russia,
you cannot. Lauren Shan, I believe her name was Lauren Shan.
Yeah.
You cannot afford to make that kind of mistake. You've got to be blameless. You've got to be ye perfect as I'm perfect, be ye holy as I'm holy. Don't give them any occasion, them being political opponents, any occasion to lay anything at your feet to discredit the otherwise very legitimate reporting that is done.
Yeah, it's a tough one, because it's like, you know, you could get advertising money coming in from Sony, but Sony is completely run by the Chinese communists. I mean, they've invested their company's own Sony. So if you're getting movies, so yeah, if you want to be 100% pure, I think it was a setup, in my opinion, to try and tarnish a group of influencers on the conservative side purposely. And yet they were all like, I think Tim Pool was one of them caught up in that. I think he's honest. He's saying, listen, I had no idea where this money, they just advertisers are paying for this.
This is why I say you can't afford that kind of spear to be laid. You've got to be blameless in this game.
Oh, exactly.
God knows those idiots out there, the Democrats, neocons, they want to crucify you as fast as they possibly can. And this is a story I was following on X platform. This is a guy I was actually following. I have since unfollowed, but it turns out I didn't need to. This is born Texas, or Texas born. After Texas Patriot got busted for being a Pakistani, he deletes his account.
For being in Pakistan.
Well, being in whatever, he's in Pakistan, he deletes his account. Beware out there of frauds, Texas Patriot. This account does not exist. And what's happening? Who are the two black guys? The Hodge twins. Those guys are under a lot of fire, because there's a lot of talk. Thomas Massie. Now, this is really interesting. About a year ago or 2 years ago, Trump spoke out publicly against Thomas Massie. And I remember there was such a kickback at that time. And Trump was getting ratio. Thomas is great. Massie's great. Well, I'm here to tell you, Trump was right again. Trump was right again. Massie has now been revealed to be nothing, not MAGA at all. He went on one of the liberal media shows over the weekend and says, I'm MAGA, I make America great, but he's not. And Trump's ID'd him. Trump sees him. He's caught. This guy is going to fragment followers and loyalists left, right, and center because of his attitude. Go ahead.
I think Trump's difficulty is he's navigating a world of populism, right? So his base is so mixed. I mean, when he was first running in 2016, he was talking to libertarians. He was trying to convince libertarians to come over, Democrats to come over, Republicans, undecideds. He was kind of going after everybody. So, I mean, he's really put himself in a position where he's got all these, talk about diversity. I mean, diverse political opinions. I mean, he's got Jimmy Dore on one side, who's like a liberal Democrat, and then he's got like a Massey, who's a libertarian, and, who probably has sights at maybe becoming president one day himself.
And happen.
So, and then you've got like the Cheney Bush types that, or like the establishment Republicans. Yeah. I mean, it's a difficult world to try and navigate all these personalities. And I can't imagine it's easy for them. I mean, you're looking for people who are like, okay, how do we get to the goalpost, to one first goalpost, then the next one, then the next one together? And you got so many with hidden agendas, their own, as I said, grifters. They're trying to make money. They're making money off YouTube. They're making money off all this stuff, and they'll do whatever it takes to keep their audience happy. And they may not actually believe what they're saying. That's the problem. It's like, some people say that about Tim Pool. I think Tim Pool's pretty honest, but I don't know. Or Ben Shapiro, is he grifting? Is he just doing it for the cash? He doesn't actually believe what he says half the time.
We've seen evolution of thought in development over a period of time. Where somebody like Tim Pool was definitely more on the left side of things. Joe Rogan would be included very similarly politically. And these guys, through experience and through it's happened very organically, very naturally. Yeah. I mean, the way CNN did the color trick on Rogan, that pissed him off. He'll still make reference to that. And the whole treatment of that little disease thing that happened a few years ago, his treatment through that, the ridicule that was thrust upon him by a manipulative media. I don't think he's feeling particularly reconciliatory towards those people. But it's a very good point, Blake. Trump does have his work cut out for him in trying to get all these disparate entities moving ahead in unison. But you can't equate Trump with Bush. We're all sadder but wiser because of 9/11 and CNN's infamous broadcast in the 7th Cavalry coming over, and the removal of entities like Saddam Hussein and who's the guy in Libya? Gaddafi, and Hillary Clinton just giggling like a maniacal hen over the fact that, we went in and we killed him, and they're throwing his head, they're holding Gaddafi's head up, and it was just unbelievable.
Yeah, his body was in the ditch. That was a horrible thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, say what you will about these despots, but, I think that what we're looking at here, my opinion, is that it was a tactical strike. It was successful. And to your point earlier about Iran, and remember last time Iran actually said in order to save face, we got to do an attack. Please clear the building, get all your people out, because we don't want to really make you mad, because we know they'll obliterate us. And this is the reality that they're facing. Trump doesn't need boots on the ground. All he needs to do is just going back to that teenage thing. You're going to punch me every time you hit me. I'm going to hit you in the face. You hit me in the back. I'm going to turn around. I'm going to hit you in the face. And Trump will keep doing that till they don't feel like doing that anymore. And that just our memories are so short. 2 short months ago or so, Yemen were acting up. Trump went and pounded them, and they said, "Okay, we're not going to blow up your ships in the Gulf anymore. We're going to leave them alone." Sorry, didn't mean it. The Houthi rebels said, "Sorry, we didn't mean it." You show some force with these guys, and then they go, "Okay, we get it."
That's the only kind of. I mean, for our Western democracies or modern Western democracies, which we have, a lot of voices, specifically women are equal voices now, which in those areas they're not. So they're still a man's world, folks. They don't, if you act effeminate to them, they will step all over you. They will not respect you. But if you're a man standing up to a man, and they'll respect that.
Yeah.
Because they don't see it any other way. And it's hard for our Western values now to understand that, because they don't share the same values when it comes to equal rights for women, when it comes to feminism or, women's right to vote. I mean, we believe in women's right to vote. They don't. So they don't think so you got to understand, he's got to be tough with these guys.
Yeah, they're going to put a bag on you. If you're a beautiful lady girl over there, you're going to have a bag on you. They're going to put it right.
Well, there's one link. Let's throw it before we close. I put it in there because it's on the silliness scale. It's a fun thing to leave with, but it goes with our crazy sign renaming. I put a link at the bottom there.
I
private chat. This is one of our David Eby's cabinet ministers showing off to him. He's 30. He's a young guy, but can you please pronounce that for me?
Okay, from my conversation with Kayakatheth, Chekoteth, First Nation on the road, it's just absolutely nonsense.
That's that fake language.
Nobody speaks the fucking fake language.
I thought it's math, isn't it? Algebra?
It's just absolute nonsense. And, but again, more of that identity that divides.
Well, they're doubling down. I guess my point is they're doubling down now in their government communications that nobody can pronounce. Right? Not even the First Nations people there who live there can pronounce what he just wrote.
Okay, we'll go out with, for all the languages that the British Columbia government seems to be thrusting upon an unwitting populace in languages we don't know, you have earned the Nancy Pelosi applause of condescension. All right, that'll do it for me and Blake. I want to thank Blake for being here and helping me out with the program. Absolutely great co-host, bringing the fire. Some really great points bringing up today. Trump with his hands full with the very divided personalities and different agendas. Herding cats is like herding cats. Let's hope for the best. Pray for the best, hoping for the worst, or hoping for the best. Are they going to drop the bomb or not? Take care, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow for the Tuesday version of the Political Nooner. Like and subscribe. Bye for now. Poof.